Oh, please don't break, little pack. I know you're a meta pack, but yeah, who knows? Just don't break, yeah? Hi everyone, welcome back. So for today's video, I've got this pre-order from Nin Nin Game here, and I'm really excited to open it up. Inside this parcel, I have two figures. One of which is to complete a pair, and the other is a really unique looking piece. So it's gonna be an exciting one. But before I open this box up, I played some more Kuji this month, and I got a really good deal. So really excited to show you that. And I also managed to find some merch of a character which I'm kinda standing right now. So I wanna show that off to you. Anyway, enough rambling, let's get started. First up, I've been super into the recently aired anime series, Gachiakuta, and I find the art style absolutely gorgeous. Here, I have a weekly Shounen magazine with a special Gachiakuta art on the cover. This is a manga colored art of Rudo, the main protagonist of the series in the Door Festival art costume. I love his expression and the colors are so artistic. Urana sensei is just on another level. Inside this magazine, we have one chapter of Gachiakuta at the Door Festival arc. I hope the anime continues all the way to this part and beyond. There are also other manga series in this magazine, like all other weekly shonen magazines. But I only bought this because of the cover art. It's a bit dumb, but I don't care. Next up, more Gachiakuta merch, specifically of my favorite guy in this series, Enjin. You either love him or hate him. But seeing how expensive his merch is in the aftermarket, I guess most people like him. He is so cool. Here I have from Japan a past card case with the manga style Enjin print on it. The background has various graffiti designs, which is very fitting for the series, considering the graffiti artist Hideyoshi Ando also worked on the art for this series. This merch is literally a case for cards, and it comes with a little metal chain to hang this on your bag. It's perfect for an Enjin Ita bag if I ever make one. Hopefully I do. Moving on, I also picked up an Enjin acrylicstand, and I must say, this is a rare piece now. You can't find this anywhere at the Animate stores anymore, but people are selling him at a ridiculous price on Mercari. I was so happy my proxy managed to grab the last one on the shelf. Yay! This acrylic stand features Enjin in the black and white manga art style, with his signature yellow around him. It's very clean. The graphic is of very high quality, and I love this sketchy hatchwork on the manga art. Plus, this stand is of a nice size. Here is the beginning of an Enjin shrine. Hopefully it won't become as crazy as my Hoshina shrine, but the more merch that comes out for this guy, I can kinda see it happening. Now, before I get into my big parcel, I actually got a small parcel from Hobbylink Japan, and inside, my nendoroids from the series My Hero Academia have arrived. Unfortunately, I feel that I paid way more than I should have because I messed up the payment currency for this first order I ever made with HLJ. Apparently, I was supposed to set up my currency as the Japanese yen at my account settings page. It's not very intuitive, so I missed this step and the exchange rate was ridiculous. Anyway, I picked up the Midoriya and Bakugo Medieval versions nendoroids, and compared to the usual nendoroid boxes, these are way smaller. It's shrinkflation at its best. Here is a quick look at the box. It's like a typical nendoroid box, but half the size, with the window on the front and photos of the nendoroid on the sides and back. The box quality is also just like the other nendoroid boxes. It's not super thick, yet not too flimsy, so good enough to protect the figure inside. This box opens up differently from a typical nendoroid box, and inside, there are not much components as you can see here. Once you take out the blister package, there's really nothing else in the box. Anyway, here is a quick look of the set of instructions for Midoriya. And here is the set of instructions for Bakugo, which is kinda similar to Midoriya's. First up is Midoriya. And unlike my previous videos, this guy is gonna come assembled magically. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip to it. Here we have Midoriya fully assembled. Well, to be fair, assembly was pretty easy, so you don't need my help for this. As for the nendoroid, I really love these medieval spin-off designs from this series. The outfit is so classic, and the designs on that sword looks fantastic. As for Midoriya himself, he only has one expression, but I suppose you can swap it out if you have his other nendoroids. Moving on to Bakugo, he also only has one blister package, and he's gonna be fully assembled magically in 3, 2, 1. Here is the medieval style Bakugo, fully assembled, and he looks fabulous. I love the fluffy feathers on his outfit, and his sword also looks really detailed and shiny. Oh, by the way, both these nendoroids are using the new nendoroid bases which goodsmile put up. I had a little bit of trouble figuring out how this stand works, so here you go. This is how it's supposed to look fully assembled. Anyway, both nendos come with capes, and I feel that capes are a great accessory that makes any nendoroid look way better. It works the same way as nendoroids with hats. Yeah. Although I'm not a super hardcore fan for this series, I do like Bakugo's character development. I wish they will continue this medieval line and meet Todoroki as well. The three of them should be put together, I feel. Anyway, that's all from HLJ. But before I get into the big puzzle, I need to brag about the Kuji I found at a good deal. This Kuji is the Haikyuu Garbage Dump Battle set, and it's from my local store. There were only a couple of tickets left in the set, so I bought the rest of the Kuji out. The small prizes are acrylic charms and little cards. But we're not here for those. The main prize I got, with just 6 tickets, is prize A. A figure of Kei Tsukishima. Guaranteed. Basically, I got this figure for only 6 Kuji tickets. It's a 6-ticket buyout. Isn't that such a good deal? Here is the box, which isn't very big, but it's sturdy and simple. It's a nicer quality prize figure box. And it is orange, a color matching the Karasuno's theme. Opening up this box, inside, there is only one blister package. And in this blister package, I first have his base, which reflects the floorboards of a school sports court. Next, I have the figure of Tsukki himself in his team outfit. And that's it. That's pretty much all the components that comes with this figure. Now to set him up. For assembly, I only need to set Tsukki on the base. It's nice that he slots into his base quite easily and he goes in completely, perfectly. And that's it. Tsukki is fully assembled. A simple assembly. But before I review him, my buyout is not just for one figure. Yes, for every Kuji set, there is a last prize, and for this set, the last prize is a figure of Tetsuro Kuro. The last prize, as the name indicates, is for the person that buys the last ticket in the set. And since I bought out this entire Kuji for 6 tickets, I technically got 2 figures with 6 tickets. How awesome is that? To be honest, I just wanted Tsukki, but it was more worth it to just buy out the entire set for 2 figures. So here is Tetsuro Kuro. The box design is just like Tsukki's, but this one is in a red color, matching the Nekoma's color theme. It's also very sturdy and simple in design. There is also only one blister package, and inside, I first have the base, which also reflects the floorboards of a school sports court. Next, I have the figure of Tetsuro himself in his Nekoma theme outfit. And that's all the components that comes with this figure. Now to set him up. For assembly, just like Tsukki, Tetsuro simply stands on his base, and he slots in pretty easily. However, I need to rotate him into position correctly. But once that's done, here he is, Tetsuro Kuro fully assembled. And although I initially preferred Tsukki over this guy, the quality of this figure seems to be way better. Ta-da-da! Here I have Tsukki and Tetsuro fully assembled. Well, assembly was pretty easy, so yeah. As mentioned, these 2 figures are from the Ichiban Kuji line, and they are non-scale figures. Technically, you could get them for only 700 yen, but that is only if you are super lucky to win Tsukki. For Tetsuro, he's the last prize, so you have to buy out the Kuji in order to get him. Well, I mean, if there's only one ticket left in the Kuji and you buy him out, it's still 700 yen, but what are the odds of getting a one ticket buyout? Never. Anyway, having said that, these two are basically price figure quality figures. So are they worth $30+? Quite frankly, I would say yeah. 700 yen is only if you can win them at that price. I mean, whose luck is so godlike? $7 to win a figure? Well, I'm sure there are, but I'm not that lucky. So yeah, $30 to $40 is well worth it for me. It's about like 3 to 4 tickets. And that's pretty good considering my luck. As for the quality, well, they are pretty much like typical price figures in terms of the shading, the sculpt work, as well as the QC issues. Zooming in to Tsukki first, I think Bandai nailed his face perfectly. His eyes and expression certainly looks like Tsukki and the promo pictures. I also love that he has his glasses on, although I wish they actually put some lenses in. Like, this is so half-baked. Another issue I have with this figure are the many QC issues. Comparing the promo picture and the actual figure, you can see a lot of mole lines all over his hair and glasses. There is also some paint bleeding of black onto his hair, and compared to the promo picture, his ear sculpt is not as refined. You can also see some glue stains on his forehead, and it looks pretty bad. And that hand sculpt doesn't look as good as the promo picture. Lastly, the seam line on his shirt is a lot thicker than promised. So yeah, QC issues. Some other price figure companies aren't this bad, to be honest. But disregarding all that on his head, his sculpt and paintwork is fairly decent. For his hair, although messy, they did sculpt it a bit to match the character design. However, I'm not a fan of that joint between his face and the neck. Also, the paint bleeding is pretty sloppy. Well, that's for Tsukki. As for Tetsuro, he's another story. He actually looks pretty good with not as much QC issues. His eyes and expression really looks like Tetsuro, and he has a cheeky smirk which is very nicely sculpted. Best of all, there are no glue stains this time round. Maybe Tsukki's stain is only on my copy. Anyone knows how to remove that? As for the QC issues, there's not much on him. For me, I only don't really like his ear sculpt, which looks way better on the promo picture. The seam line on his shirt is also pretty thick, but that's not too bad. Lastly, the highlights on his hair in the promo picture makes it look way better than the actual figure. Some shading on his black hair would have improved this figure quite a bit, but I suppose that's too much to ask for in a price figure. At least Tetsuro's hair sculpt looks way neater than Tsukki's, but that awful neck joint is still there. Moving down both figures, although Tsukki's head has many flaws, his outfit sculpt is actually very decent. There are no ugly mole lines, and the paintwork is very neat. Why didn't they carry this standard to his head? Nice. Anyway, the sculpt of the fabric folds as well as the stretchy band of his pants looks so realistic. The only thing missing is some shading on this outfit, but that's minor for a price figure. As for Tetsuro, surprisingly, he became my favorite between the two. Look at that shading on his outfit. It's fantastic. The fabric folds are also sculpted, just as well as Tsukki's, and the paintwork is super neat. Plus, he has a volleyball. For both figures, the arm and leg muscles are slightly sculpted, which is a great detail for such a small figure. However, for Tetsuro, compared to Tsukki, his hand sculpt looks way nicer. Is there some difference in effort between price A and last price? It shouldn't be the case, but it seems that way over here. One detail I love about the Haikyuu designs are the random logos of sport brands found here and there. There is a Mizuno-looking logo on Tetsuro's shirt. A very nice detail. The shoes also look like A6 shoes. It's very detailed in sculpt, and the paintwork is also very neat, although simple. Tetsuro's shoes are in black instead of white, and it contrasts really well with his white socks. For the base, I'm actually quite impressed that they can join up. Like, you can put Tsukki on this side, or you can put him on the other side over here. It fits perfectly. The base has an interlocking profile which allows you to join the two figures up with flexibility. The design takes reference to the sports hall floorboards, which is way better than a simple round disc. Although the color and material feels kinda cheap, but heck, it's a prize figure. Overall, although these are prize figures, I am quite impressed by the amount of details and the shading, especially the shading on Tetsuro's outfit. Like, you don't see that kind of shading even on some scale figures. As for the details, I suppose it's mainly because of the Haikyuu art style that makes reference to a lot of sports fashion branding design. Especially the shoes. Their shoes look so realistic. Like, I think these are like A6 or 06 shoe designs. Looks kinda like it. There's even a Mizuno looking logo over here on Tetsuro's shirt. So these are the kind of details that you find in the Haikyuu art style, and they've captured it pretty well on these little prize figures. So I would say quite impressive and well worth my money. Even though I didn't get this for 700 yen. Anyway, that's all I have to say about these two figures. So let's move on to the actual unboxing. Alas, here is the parcel I got from Nin Nin Game, and inside there are two figures. Hence, the box is pretty big, so I shipped this by surface. Opening up the box, inside here is the first figure I got, and this is a figure that comes as a pair with another figure I unboxed previously. This was supposed to come around the same time as the other half, but I consolidated this with another figure that is released later. So she is here to complete the set. This is the 1/7 scale figure of Guilty by Bellfine, and this is based on the art illustrated by Ano, if I didn't butcher his or her name. Anyway, the color scheme is what attracted me to this figure. The box design reflects that vibrant color theme really well, but sadly the box quality is pretty thin and flimsy. So flimsy that my box got dented even though it was wrapped in bubble wrap. Other than that, it's a nicely designed box with a big window on the front and a heart cutout at the top. Opening up this box and taking the figure out, here is the set of instructions for the figure. By the way, this is a cast-off figure, but it's not mentioned in the instructions. As for the figure, she comes in two blister packages. Here is the first blister package, and inside, I first have this halo, which is pink and really thin. Next is this alternative hand part, which has a wand, followed by one base where the heart has been sliced off. And that's it. On to the second blister package. Inside this packaging, I have the other base where the heart is full with little peels attached on it. Next, I have Guilty's pair of wings, which are very nicely detailed. Last but not least is the figure of Guilty herself, with all this plastic protection which needs to be slowly removed. And that's all the components that comes with this figure. Now to assemble her. First up, to pick the base. You either display this with the other figure Guilty is paired with, or you display her on her own. Below Guilty's shoes, there are holes, and they slot into the metal pegs on the base. Here, I'm using the base which already has the peels. She slots into the base quite nicely. Next are the wings. Both have uniquely shaped pegs to differentiate the left and right. Since the pegs are big, it isn't too stressful to slot them in, although I remain careful. Thankfully, both wings went in quite easily. With the wings on, I can now move on to the head, which I had removed earlier when taking off the plastic sheets. Her neck is slanted, so something to consider when slotting her in. Her hair also has a gap for one of the wings to slot in between. Hopefully nothing gets scuffed. It took me a while to position the hair right between the wings, but eventually I got the correct angle. From there, the process to push her head into the neck is a lot easier. For the finishing touches, here is her halo, and it's thin and fragile. This goes into the tiny hole on her head over here. Last but not least is to swap out the hand, and I want to go with this version with the wand, cause why not? The swapping process was really smooth because these joints are not really tight and each component joins up really easily. With that, I have the 1/7 scale figure of Guilty by Bellfine fully assembled. And my first impression is, she's really huge. I actually thought she was a 1/6 scale figure when I saw her, but when I checked the box, it was 1/7 scale, so really big for a 1/7 scale figure. Well, not complaining there. She is quite impressive. Zooming into the figure, I especially love her expression. Her eyes are so lovely with hearts in them, and her expression of embarrassment is just perfect. I really like the way her little stubbly horns peek out from her fringe, and the way they are painted is so smooth. The transition from red to her pinkish skin color looks really good. The way her hair is sculpted and painted is also very neat and fairly detailed. The strands are individually sculpted and the streaks of bright pink adds a nice pop of color. However, upon closer look, the pink has a faint purple tint and it looks like the pink paint is too thin. That, or it is the intention, just doesn't look very consistent to me. Moving down, here is the base to display Guilty on her own. It is a heart-shaped base, but the plastic of the base looks kinda cheap. At least it's not a plain disc. There are also little pills and a milk bottle on it. They look pretty nice, but the way they are simply attached to the base seems out of place and low effort. Something bigger would have looked better. Guilty actually comes as a pair with another figure which I got previously, Punish. And as you can see, the art style looks so similar and they look so perfect together. One is like a chibi little devil, and the other is like an angel with huge assets. The contrast looks so good, and the colors on these two figures look so amazing. Back then, I did comment that the figure of Punish looks pretty pale and desaturated in comparison with her promo pictures. As for Guilty, I actually feel that her colors look quite vibrant. Well, vibrant enough to me. I'm not sure how it is against the promo pictures, but I think she looks really pretty. Also, in terms of QC issues, I feel that Guilty has much less of that. I suppose it's because she has much less clothes compared to Punish. I mean, the main QC issues on Punish are because of the jacket. But without the jacket, actually, she looks pretty okay. As mentioned, these two figures are meant to go together, and there is even an additional base for you to do so. Well, you're going to have to transfer some of these little accessories from Guilty's original base to this alternative base in order to put them together. So let's try that out. First up, to transfer the pills and milk bottle over to the other base. Yes, this can be detached, but their packs are pretty thin, so gotta be careful with that. Once they are out, I can reattach the pills and milk bottle onto the other base. They go in at a specific angle, so don't force these little things in. Once that's done, now to transfer Guilty. I have to first plug her out from the other base since I put her on that. And once that's done, I can slot her into the sliced up half base. For this setup, I also opted to swap out her hand since her hand hovers over Punish like so in the original illustration. I kinda want to see how it matches up when put together with Punish. Since the heart is sliced, it joins up with Punish base perfectly. By the way, Punish has a leaning issue, so I actually display her with this support rod. Where is it from? Well, it's from the Mahiro figure I got that does not seem to need this rod as much as Punish. So yeah, the height is perfect too. Anyway, here is the pair of figures of Punish and Guilty set up together. A perfect picture as created by the artist Ano Aono, if I didn't butcher her or his name. As for the setup, the way the bases join up is perfect, and it makes that sliced up heart look complete. Punish's base is purple and Guilty's is red or pink. I wish the colors were more vibrant, and this translucent plastic still looks really cheap to me. As for how the figures fit together, I would say they look really good side by side like this. The contrast of their character design is more distinct, yet the colors perfectly match, although I still find Punish a bit too dull. I also really like the position of both their wings, making the setup appear symmetrical. It's a nice composition. However, unlike the illustration, Guilty's hand doesn't hover over Punish's belly that well. The position is a little bit off, so yeah. Although the setup of both of them together looks really good, my shelf right now kinda requires them to be separated because there's another figure right at the center. I'm either gonna have to rejig that shelf and put them at the center or move that center figure somewhere else. I am not sure. So for now, I'm just gonna keep them separated on my shelf. Unless I change my mind. I have no idea how I'm gonna display them. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What's the best way to put these two together? Okay, the last figure for today, and also my favorite from this haul because of how unique this piece is. Just like Guilty, this figure comes in bubble wrap. Nin Nin Game sure does a good job with the packaging. Hopefully, the box for this one doesn't come damaged like Guilty's. Anyway, taking out all that bubble wrap and paper wrapping, this is the 1/8 scale figure of Idia Shroud from Twist Wonderland by Aniplex. To be honest, I don't play Twist Wonderland, but I really love the design of Idia Shroud. It's the blue. I love that tint of blue in his hair so much. Plus, it's so messy and long, like blue flames, reminiscent of Hades from Hercules. As for the box, it's sturdier than Guilty's, hence it is in perfect condition. It is black with gold trimmings, a color theme that matches the Twist Wonderland art style. The figure came with a bonus postcard featuring the illustration this figure is based on. There is also a can badge of the same illustration, a nice freebie which I'm not gonna use. Moving on, opening up this box and taking the blister package out, there is a little note from Aniplex, as well as a set of instructions. As for the figure, there is only one blister package, and inside, here is the base, followed by the figure of Idia Shroud with plastic protection. He is quite massive because of the hair. Last but not least are these torch stands, or whatever these are called. And that's all the components that comes with this figure. Now to set him up. Here is the base, which is nicely detailed with an engraved pattern. The blue streak adds a nice pop of color. Plus, this has a metal peg. That is very important since Idia is only supported at one point at the bottom of his massive hair. However, when inserting this figure onto the base, I find that the hole on his hair and the peg are quite a tight fit. It was a struggle to push him into the base, and breaking the peg would be a disaster. So I tried my best to not do that. After much struggle, I decided to not push him all the way in and leave the peg exposed a bit, like so. It's fine, I think, since Idia feels pretty stable. Next is to attach the torch stands. Idia needs to be rotated to the correct angle such that the torches don't clash with him. I referred to the promo pictures to get this right. The torches have pretty thin plastic pegs, so I didn't use too much force to slot them in. Thankfully, when positioned at the correct angle, this little torch stand slot into the base quite easily. It's such a relief considering the struggle I had with Idia. With that, I have the 1/8 scale figure of Idia from Twist Wonderland by Aniplex fully assembled. And even though I'm usually not impressed by Aniplex figures, other than the Marin Kitagawa ones, this turned out pretty okay. First and foremost, the pose. He is an upside down figure and I find it quite unique. You rarely see figures which are upside down, done really dramatically, and Aniplex kinda nailed this composition. Another pleasant surprise about this figure is the quality of it. Most of the other Twist Wonderland figures that I've seen in person look kinda cheap and has a fair bit of QC issues. But this one, although there are a little bit of QC issues, the quality is actually pretty good. You can see quite a bit of different textures and details in the sculpt work. So, Quite well done for an Aniplex Twist Wonderland figure. A closer look at the details. I love this geometrical pattern on his shirt. It's like the Issei Miyake's famous Bao Bao bag design. I also really love that blue vest. It has a beautiful shading, and the paintwork is also mostly neat, except for this rough black strip on the collar. His outfit also consists of a really detailed looking belt, which is also in very pretty hues of blue colors. The buckle is also very nicely sculpted. Moving up the figure, Idia's shoes are also really detailed. I suppose Aniplex had no choice since the shoes are so in your face. The soles below looks really weathered, and the blue buckles are so vibrant and nicely shaded. Another nice detail is this little robot looking head on Idia's hair. What is the lore for this guy? I have no idea. Regardless, he looks so clean. As for Idia himself, I think Aniplex captured his face really well. His eyes look lazy with a nice blue eyeshadow. However, I'm not a fan of his mouth. It looks fine from far, but zooming in, it looks poorly painted. Like, is that white bead supposed to be his teeth? What is going on? Anyway, the main highlight of Idia to me is his hair. It is in a vibrant blue color that transitions from a dark blue to a lighter tint, and onto a translucent look at the tips. The sculpt looks wonderful, and I don't see any horrible mole lines. I don't really fancy the translucent plastic used, but it kinda matches the flames on the torches, so it's consistent. I'm giving it a pass for me. As for the base, it is quite special. The round disc has engraved patterns, and that bright blue streak stands out. However, the paintwork of this blue streak seems a bit sloppy. The blue on the sides of the groove is not consistent. Other than the base, the torch stands completes the composition of this figure, and I love how these flames are sculpted and colored. The translucent effect looks really good here. My main issue with the base is how finicky it was to sort of put him on the base itself. The hole on his hair and the peg on the base seems to be quite tight, and it required quite a bit of force to sort of force him in. It was quite nerve-wracking doing that, and I feared that the peg might break. But I suppose it is that tight, so this upside-down figure would remain stable. Well, I'm not gonna touch this figure anymore, so hopefully he stays in position over time. And that's all for today's video. A wonderful haul for the month of September, I would say. Plus, the birth of my Enjin shrine. A terrible rabbit hole to fall into. Let me know in the comments below what you think. By the way, Guilty is actually a cast-off figure, but my copy had paint transfer from her skin color onto the chest covers. That really sucks. That's why plastic protection on cast-off figures are so important, even though I really hate taking the figure apart. If you have this figure, was your copy okay? I hope it was. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, do leave a like and subscribe with notifications to stay tuned to more videos. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye!